In today's lesson, we are going to multiply integers symbolically. Okay, so really what we need to remember is if we're multiplying and the signs are the same, and I'm going to specify when we're multiplying two integers. If the signs are the same, the answer is positive. If the signs are different, the answer is negative. And that's the big takeaway. If the signs are the same, they're both positive or they're both negative, the result will be a positive answer. If there's one positive, one negative, the result will be a negative answer. Okay? Now, generally speaking, multiplying integers is generally easier than adding or subtracting. However, you do need to know your multiplication tables. And some of you are rock stars at it, and I see that, and some of you are not. So, and that's okay, but you need to practice them, right? You need to practice them if you're not. So let's do some examples. All right. So start off with this one right here. So it would be helpful if we dealt with the signs first and then the number. So are the signs the same or are they different? So the answer will be negative. And 2 times 9 is?
18.
So it's negative 18. No work other than that, just negative 18, and we're good to go. Okay? So let's go on to the second question. Is the answer positive or negative?
Positive. Is it the same?
Because they're the same. 4 times 11.
44.
Beautiful. There we go. All right. Third question. Are the signs the same or different?
Different.
So the answer is negative. 3 times 6 is? Beautiful. Now we're going to go on to the questions that have 3 digits that we're or 3 numbers that we're multiplying together. And again, we should show our work. How do we show our work? Well, we'll just deal with 2 of these at a time. So we're going to deal, like, here's the thing about multiplying though, okay? Here is the thing about multiplying. As long as you're just multiplying, dividing is a whole different animal. But if you're multiplying 3 numbers together, it doesn't matter which 2 you multiply together first. It really doesn't. You can multiply the 4 times the 10, the 2 times the 10, the 10 times the 4. It doesn't matter. It might just be easier to multiply the first 2 together. So if we multiply the first 2 together, what do we get? Negative 8. But what we need to do is we need to write down what we're not doing. We're not multiplying that by negative 10, so we're going to write that on the end. And what junior high students often struggle with is writing down this step here, because what they often want to do is they often want to just do the one calculation here, and then they'll do another calculation here. And if it's just 2 steps, it's not so bad. But when we start getting into order of operations, which we will be later this week. Well, we won't do it later this week because it's a short week for you, but we'll be doing it next week. Then doing that's not going to be very helpful. So what you need to do is you need to do whatever you need to do to get this. But whatever you're not doing, just it's just a passenger. Let it be there. Don't worry about it. And now we're going to go ahead and worry about it right now. Negative 8 times negative 10 is what? Positive 80. Great. Okay, so that's 2 steps, and we're good. All right? So next question. Janae, what 2 numbers here would you multiply together first?
The first 2.
Great. Negative 8 times positive 2. What do you get when you do that?
16. Negative 16.
Great. And then we're going to write down multiply by negative 3. Got to make sure we put that in there. And now what's negative 16 times negative 3? Positive 48. Beautiful. There we go. Good. Okay. Like I said, I think the toughest part of this, to be quite honest with you, is whether you know your multiplication tables. especially as we're dealing with three numbers, oftentimes, what if we get something like 48 that we have to multiply by 3 or something? I understand that it's not super complicated, but sometimes students might get a little overwhelmed when they see something like that. So if you have to go ahead and go off to the right and do a little bit of side calculation, like write it down and figure it out, go ahead, okay? But you're going to get some numbers that might be a little tricky, okay? For you, okay? All right.